Coming up on Marriage Today with Jimmy and Karen.
Two dominant people can't marry each other because there would be a murder quickly. Okay? Two very passive people can't marry because they would starve to death because they can't decide where to eat lunch. And so, you always marry to your level of emotional health. Health marries health, unhealth marries unhealth. Let me give you a definition of dominance when I talk about this. It means disproportionate control of the relationship and those elements common to the relationship, like children, like money, those types of things. It means someone has more stock than the other person. If there's a company and you both have 50% of the stock, and that's a good marriage. In a dominant marriage, someone has more stock. In fact, sometimes someone has all the stock. And 100% of the decisions are made by one person. If you can picture a dollhouse, and you crank the lid back on a dollhouse and you're looking down into a dollhouse, a good family, a functional family, what you'll see is you'll see two big rooms in this house. And that's mom and dad. Mom and dad have the same size rooms. And then when children are born, they really don't have a room. They don't really get to say anything related to the family. As they get older, we may talk to them about where we go on vacation or where we go out to eat tonight or something like that. And then the older a child gets, we're trying to help them to grow up as a responsible adult. So we give them a little bit more voice in the family. So they have a room. And, they get 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Their room grows. It never gets nearly as big as our room. But then when they're 18, we kick them out of the house because they get real opinionated. And so we want them to leave at that point. You know what I'm talking about? So the number one best homes, according to research, are male-led homes, where the husband treats the wife as an equal, but he initiates the well-being of the home. See, one of a woman's deepest needs is leadership, not dominance. Women want their husband to initiate the well-being of the children, the discipline, the spirituality of the home, the finances of the home, and the romance of the home. Women want their husband to be the loving initiator of the home with them being an equal. That's what makes women feel most secure and most well taken care of. And when children grow up in a home where they have a father who is a loving leader of the home, treating his wife as an equal, the children are most emotionally healthy and they have ascendancy. They understand what leadership looks like. They understand what it's like for someone to take the initiative. Okay, so if you don't have a male-led home, the next best is an equalitarian home. But other than that, when you have a male-dominated or a female-dominated home, you're going to have dysfunction within that. So let me explain something to you. You always marry according to your level of emotional health. Health marries health, unhealth marries unhealth. There's always a balance to it. When Karen and I met, I never had an insecure day in my life. I was the class clown. I was, popular. I was confident. I had too much ego, way too much ego. I thought I was God. I've never met a person with as low self-esteem as Karen when we got married, ever. Karen was beautiful, thought she was ugly, thought God hated her. She had self-hate. I mean, literally, Karen was beautiful. I have a huge family, and I would take Karen, when we went into public, Karen stood behind me. And I would pull her out from behind me and introduce her like to a family member. And as soon as I finished introducing her, she was back behind me. It was like she was on a spring-loaded thing or something. It's just like she just kept going behind me because she had such terrible self-esteem. We were the perfect match. I thought I was God. She thought she was the devil. It didn't work. It never works. This is the way God designed marriage to work. In fact, this is the way God designed marriage to work. For the man to be just a little bit more assertive than the woman, but to treat her as an equal. This is the perfect marriage. This might work a little bit with a woman a little bit more assertive, but it's not good for the male ego, but in this range right here, it's good. The further you get away from this, the worse it becomes. And sometimes, see, like with Karen and me, I could have never married a confident woman because I was too sick emotionally. I was unhealthy emotionally. I had a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear inside of me, but I masked it by being confident. And I didn't know that. I didn't understand that until, I received Christ and the Holy Spirit began to do surgery on my heart and all these things began to be exposed. But when Karen and I got married, it just simply didn't work. It was dysfunctional. But I was attracted to her because she accommodated me emotionally, and she was attracted to me because I accommodated her emotionally. She needed a man with the self-confidence that she didn't have. And I needed a woman that would accommodate my ego. So we were a match, okay? Women, a very assertive woman always marries a very passive man. Two dominant people can't marry each other because there would be a murder quickly. Okay? Two very passive people can't marry because they would starve to death because they can't decide where to eat lunch. And so, you always marry to your level of emotional health. Health marries health, unhealth marries unhealth. So Karen and I, God put us together. You might say, Jimmy, that doesn't sound like God put you together. God put us together as broken people, but God put us together as healed people. Isn't it beautiful that God can do that? So when I'm using my hands here, you're somewhere on this scale. I don't know where you are, okay? But I'm going to tell you, if you're not in this range, you have problems. There's disrespect, there's lost intimacy. And one of the things when we first got married, she would get so frustrated and she would say, you can just talk all the time. And I can't talk as fast as you. And see, typically in most marriages, there's a fast talker and a slow talker. And there's a person who's never at a loss for words, and there's another person 2 days later goes, I wish I'd have said, And so, in our relationship, I'm never at a loss for words. Karen, 2 days later will say, my strong personality just was overbearing within the relationship. And we would get into an argument. I was a prosecuting attorney, and I could make my case extremely well. And, so Karen was so frustrated in our relationship because of the strength of my personality that was not submitted to the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to talk about this more in just a minute. But some of you ladies have a strong leader personality, and your husbands don't. Some of you ladies are fast talkers. Now, all ladies are talkers. I can tell you that right now. But some of you are fast talkers. And some of the husbands are slow talkers or don't talk as much. And so you have a naturally dominant personality that you have to learn to deal with. So let me talk just a minute about what to do if you're being dominated and what to do if you're dominant. Okay. So having said everything that I've just said, if you're being dominated, you have to be honest with your own issues. Karen is an example of this. Is that you have to be honest and just say, I'm being dominated, okay? And don't deny it, don't sugarcoat it, I'm being dominated. The second thing you have to do is just stand up. It's like a teeter-totter. When you're on a teeter-totter with someone, what you do directly affects them. When you change, your marriage changes. You're not a victim. You don't have to wait for your spouse to change. When you change, the equilibrium of the relationship changes. So here's what Karen did. So we have this teeter-totter, and here we were. As Karen began to get healed, Psalm 107:20 says, God sent his word to heal them and to deliver them from their destructions. Okay? Well, every morning, Karen would wake up. From the day we got married, Karen has never not read the Bible in our entire married lives. Even when she didn't believe it. Even when she hated herself and thought she couldn't be saved. Every day she read the Bible. The Bible healed Karen. I didn't. The Bible did. God's word healed my wife. And as Karen began to get healed, one of the manifestations of her emotional health improving was she began to stand up to me. Lovingly. She just began to stand up. Well, again, the equilibrium changes. When you change, everything changes. So Karen began to force me to be more humble and accommodating of her by doing this. And my response was, you get out of the house. The night that she stood up to me, I told you get out of the house. And that was the old chauvinist, dominant Jimmy that died that night. Thank God. She began to stand up to me. When she did it, forced the issue. And she did it lovingly. She did it righteously, but she did it. You can insist on respect, and you can insist on having a voice. And let me say, Some people are dominated because they're emotionally lazy. And you're being dominated, but you don't have to think. Someone's doing all your thinking for you. And you've got to, but you're miserable. You have to make up your mind, I'm not going to be emotionally lazy anymore. I'm going to pay the price to be heard and be respected. I'm going to do it righteously, but I'm going to do it. Okay? I'm not going to accommodate the dominance of my spouse. If you're the dominant person, you got to sit down. You got to humble yourself, and you've got to accommodate your spouse. Now listen to me. I will not make a decision without Karen Evans, period. Every significant decision we make together. 1,000 times she says to me, Jimmy, you just make the decision, I'm fine. 1,000 times I say, no. No. And I never pressure her. I never nag at her. She never pays a price. And what I say to her, the unity in our marriage is more important than any decision we're making. And wherever we go, we're going together. And if it takes you an extra day, an extra week, an extra year, I'm waiting until you're ready. You pray, you get all the information you need. We'll talk until you're ready, because we're a team, and everything we do together under the lordship of Jesus Christ. And what that creates in our marriage is intimacy. And as a dominant man, I'm naturally dominant with a strong personality. As a dominant man, what I have to do is sit down. Sit down. So how did our marriage get healed? Karen stood up and I sat down. Karen began to assert herself. She began to stop accommodating my ego, which was wrong and sinful. She just began to lovingly insist on respect and insist on having a voice. I sat down. And now we're here. Karen dominates me. No, honestly, what I say to Karen is, you're too healed. I'm asking Jesus to take away some of your healing. Because that sister is a lioness of God. I'm telling you. So, but I guarantee you one thing, we have an equal marriage. You know, I hope that teaching was a blessing to you. That is just really a small part of a full resource that we do called Return to Intimacy. You know, it's all about intimacy. And in this resource, we talk about disarming destructive anger, disarming destructive fear, disarming destructive dominance, which affects so many marriages, and also the secrets of intimacy in marriage, how to understand just the issue of intimacy, because intimacy is the prize of marriage. You know, we get married because we want to be intimate, but in almost all of our marriages, we struggle. We get into fights, and maybe there's division, or, you know, maybe there's drifting apart. And this is how you can build the marriage of your dreams and deal with problems that you're experiencing in your marriage. A full 4-part series. And right now, for your gift of any amount to support us here at Marriage Today, we're going to give you the full CD series, Return to Intimacy, 4-part. And also now for your gift of $90 or more, if you can just be generous with us and send your most generous gift right now to support the ministry here at Marriage Today, we'll send you the full DVD series, 4-part, Return to Intimacy, along with our one devotional book. The one devotional book is just a wonderful book to read by yourself or read together on your date night or as a couple to help you build the marriage of your dreams. You can succeed in marriage. You were made for marriage. God never creates anything to fail, but we just need the right information. This will help you. Here's how you can get this.
Support Marriage Today with your best gift and receive the series Return to Intimacy. In this series, you will discover how to keep intimacy thriving and growing, why fear causes us to react, and practical steps to resolving anger, conflict, and dominance.
When you devalue and reject the thoughts of your spouse, intimacy is out the window.
For your gift of any amount to support Marriage Today, you'll receive the entire Return to Intimacy series on CD. For your gift of $90 or more, you'll receive the series on DVD. We'll also include the one devotional book filled with 52 marriage-building devotions as a free bonus to the DVD teaching series.
The word intimacy means inner closeness. That's what it means. It means close on the inside.
Recapture closeness in your marriage like you've never experienced before. Whatever your situation, you can return to intimacy.
This Valentine's weekend, Marriage Today is joining forces with Gateway Church to host a premier marriage event called the XO Conference. We're going to be simulcasting the conference to host sites around the world, and I would love for your church to join us. We'll be focusing on helping couples thrive in their marriages and to understand God's plan for their lives. I'll be teaching at the conference, and my wife Karen's going to be joining me for a question and answer session. We have some very special musical guests and also a celebrity panel, and they'll be talking about how they overcame problems in their marriages with God's help. If you're married, engaged, or single, join me for the XO Conference. And if you're a pastor or church leader, we would love you to be a host site so you can help build marriages in your community. Hey, I'll see you there. Well, you know, this program today on dominance, we hope that this is helpful to you. Karen, we're talking about intimacy. This comes from our seminar, Return to Intimacy, where we talk about disarming destructive dominance. And, you know, dominance is always destructive in a relationship. And I was dominant. I was the dominant person in the relationship. So we're going to answer some questions from some of our viewers. And I'm going to start. This question says, I am more confrontational, but my husband sometimes resents it. How do I convince him I don't want to be the bad guy? She's more confrontational, right, and he doesn't.
Well, it's probably a lot like what you and I went through. You know, when I got healed, you sometimes like to kid me and say I got too healed.
And, you're a little too healed.
And so, you know, when I got healed and became more confident in speaking up for how I felt about certain things, you know, there was times that, you know, looking back, I can see, you know, and even recently, I think I did this, you know, you need to really be careful about how you're saying it, because you've always said it's your attitude that I'm hearing before your words.
That's right.
And so you can present something, but just check your attitude. You know, is it to enforce? Is it because you're frustrated? Is it because, you know, you didn't forgive him for something for last week and now it's coming out, you know, as you confront him about something? And, you know, the main thing is, you know, be respectful and talk in a gentle, kind way. I mean, we all can hear when someone's being kind and gentle and you know, just loving. So, you know, check the tone of your attitude. That would be a big thing for me to say.
Well, and two, it might be that he's passive, and so he doesn't share his feelings. She might be dominant or, you know, disrespectful, like you were saying. So he kind of goes underground, and she's chasing him. You know, she gets frustrated, and he's quiet, and he's being passive. So she's, you know, and so in a marriage where there's not dominance, it means you're both sharing, you're both affectionate, you're both open. And when you have an imbalance, it typically means one person's more confrontational, one person is passive. And it really does drive you crazy. I mean, you're both driving each other crazy. But there is dominance, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But there has to be a mutual commitment of giving each other the right to complain without paying a price. Because, you know, when there's dominance in the relationship, it means you're going to pay a price.
Yeah.
I'm going to train you. You cross me, you know, you're going to pay a price. When there's not dominance in the relationship, it means I have the freedom to be me without you putting me down. And both people respect that. Now, Karen, you have a question?
I do. This one says, my wife manipulates me by threatening separation or divorce whenever she doesn't get her way. What can I do?
Well, manipulation is the right way to say it, and that is she's saying, I want this, and if you don't give it to me, I'm leaving. Well, you know, it's a horrible situation, but at some point you have to stand up to that. And if it were happening to me, what I would say is, I love you, and I want to be married, but I'm not going to do what I do out of a threat of you leaving. I'm going to do it because I love you and because it's right. And if it's not right, I'm not going to do it. And if you leave me because I didn't do it, you know, going down the road, and not in the sense of I want you to leave, but I'm just not going to live my life under the cloud that you're going to leave me. And any person, the threat of a divorce, the threat of an affair is manipulation and it's control. And at some point you have to stand up to it. In fact, every person who's being dominated or controlled, and you were, and I know we have a question in just a minute about this, every person who's being manipulated or controlled, you're allowing it.
Yeah.
You're enabling it. And so for this man, I would say stop enabling it. And just say to her, honey, I love you and I'm not going to respond unrighteously, but if you leave me, you leave me. go on. But I'm not going to do that. And what happens then is either she'll leave and come back, or leave and not come back, or stop doing it. But either way, he's out from under that control.
And it may be a time where they just need to really get outside help. Just go get some counseling and just say, we can't live this way, but I don't want you to leave, and I don't want to leave, so let's go get some outside help.
Well, I think that's exactly right, Karen. I think that outside help would be great for him. Now, let me try to get through one more question.
Okay.
Karen, how exactly did you begin standing up to Jimmy when he was controlling and dominating you?
Every time I have to laugh because I remember exactly where we were and what room we were in, and exactly the look on your face and what I was doing back at you. Don't you love those memories? But it was like it was right before the worst of the worst, and you were just like always telling me, you're just not submitted enough. And I was just thinking, I am probably the most submitted woman you're ever going to find. And you were just like constantly saying that. And I'll never forget, just you all over me, just, you better do da-da-da-da-da. And
the lady's asking, how did you do it? You just began to lovingly.
I didn't know. What I remember thinking is, no, that's not right. Yeah. That's not right. Yeah. And I am. Yeah. And I just remember walking out of the room thinking, I'm not going to engage in this. See, before I would stay engaged trying to win, and I knew I was going to lose because I can't.
But you were just saying to me, don't talk to me like that. No, that's not right.
Exactly.
You began to, it's this deal here. You have a person dominant and a person who's overly submissive. You began to stand up.
I know.
And it forces.
You're so cute because you're telling me.
Well, anyway. Well, look, she just hit me. So, anyway, the sister's healed.
No. But you're right. You're saying is right, but I was getting to that.
We're out of time, thankfully. Now, watch this. I hope you're enjoying today's program. It's our joy to be able to come to you and minister to you. I hope you've been touched by what you've seen today, and maybe you're a regular viewer of our television program. Our program is broadcast across America and around the world into hundreds of millions of homes every day. And it's just our joy to be able to touch millions of lives and help millions of people to succeed in marriage and family relationships. And we can only do that because of our faithful financial supporters. I'm asking you, if you've been touched by this ministry and if you believe in our mission of helping people to succeed in marriage and keeping little children together with their parents and helping our children and grandchildren to have a better future. If you believe in what we're doing, would you stand with us financially? Your generous financial gift right now is such a blessing, and really we can only do what we do because of financial partners who stand with us, people just like you. I'm asking you to stand with us financially, even to become a monthly partner, and here's more information on how you can do that.
When you stand with Marriage Today, your individual effort multiplies with other like-minded partners. And together, we can rebuild the dream of marriage for couples around the world.
I would recommend becoming a Rock Solid partner because you are grafting into a group of individuals that are committed to restoring marriage to this country, and that's something we want to be a part of.
In pursuit of this vital mission, Marriage Today utilizes a daily television broadcast, multiple live events, a comprehensive online outreach, and hundreds of marriage-building resources. Your partnership is literally making every facet of this ministry possible. And that means couples are receiving the help and hope they need to take their marriage to the next level of fulfillment and intimacy.
We enjoy the resources, we enjoy all of it, but I think just knowing that we're touching the lives of so many other marriages, creating an atmosphere for them to get the help they need.
Being a rock-solid partner with Marriage Today grants you immediate access to an exclusive library of the ministry's resources and intimately connects you with our mission of helping couples succeed in marriage.
We're proof that the ministry is beneficial and that it works. It has helped to save us, and that means that our children get to grow up with two parents in a home together. It makes a difference in our lives every single day that I couldn't imagine not being a partner.
Everyone has something to give, and there are millions of unreached couples who desperately need the marriage-strengthening resources of Marriage Today. That's why we need you to join us. Become a rock-solid partner with the ministry and mission of Marriage Today.
This program today is on dominance. It's on disarming destructive dominance, Karen, that when you have dominance in a marriage, and when I do the poll in seminars, I've done this all over the world, hundreds of thousands of people, asking them how many of you were raised in a home where one parent was clearly dominant over the other. 70 to 80% of hands immediately go up. And then I ask a follow-up question. How many of you believe that had a negative influence on your family? Every hand immediately goes back up, all over the world. Dominance is something that always damages the relationship. It damages the sense of goodwill. It damages the intimacy because someone's being dominated.
Yeah.
Someone's being disrespected. It's a disproportionate control of the relationship. So when we got married, Karen, I have a naturally choleric personality. And so it was my way or the highway. And I dominated you, but you began to stand up to it.
Well, and I was naturally shy. So it was, like we've said before, it's easy, for a shy person to have someone kind of tell them what to do. And
but you didn't like it.
No, and then the reason I didn't like it is because I started realizing the tone and the way you were treating me, I just didn't feel like I had the respect, that I'm a part of this marriage. And I think that's what happens is you get so imbalanced that one person's, like you're saying, trying to control, and the other person feels like, why am I even in this if you just, all you want to do is control it. And so I remember, the main thing though was that if you have a personality like I was, or, you're more passive, is just to really, concentrate and ask the Lord to help you to be confrontive, but do it in a real loving, kind way.
Yes.
Because, anger never gets you anywhere. And the Lord says that the peacemakers are very blessed. And a person who, wants to make peace or bring peace, they come with an attitude that says, I'm not against you, but we can't continue on like this because it not only hurts me, but it devalues the person that's acting that way too, because everybody can see it, and even if, they're not recognizing it, none of us like to be around somebody who's chauvinistic or controlling or bossy. And so out of love, the best thing you can do for your spouse is to, start confronting that so that you can both be okay.
Standing up, the person being dominated, male or female, because this is gender neutral, is that the person being dominated has to begin to assert themselves and to demand respect. And you just like you did, lovingly just begin. Don't become like the other person. Don't fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
The person that's dominant, you have to sit down. You have to humble yourself. And you have to accommodate your spouse. An example is, I won't make a decision without Karen, and I don't bully you into making decisions.
True.
And so because of that, we're partners, and because of that, we have an equality in our marriage. And I'm sorry that we're out of time, but listen, I hope this is helpful to you, because most families and most couples are affected by this issue. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. God bless you.
Thank you for watching Marriage Today with Jimmy and Karen. Support Marriage Today with your best gift and receive the series Return to Intimacy. Don't miss the first ever XO Marriage Conference with Jimmy and Karen Evans, February 13th and 14th. Register at xomarriageconference.com. Buy or stream, rent or download Marriage Today content, workshops, and more. Visit now.marriagetoday.com. Become a rock-solid partner today and connect with the mission of Marriage Today. Together, we can help couples succeed in marriage.
This program is made possible by the generous support of our faithful partners.